Hi there, I'm Sadhbh from Red Rock Writing, and welcome to the session. This is how to attract customers, not trouble online, and we will be talking to you today about social media crises and getting your policies up and running so you avoid them. So the session will be about 15 minutes, and I'm just going to give you a few housekeeping notes before we begin. First off, I'm hearing impaired. I've got hearing aids on onto these things. Second off, if anyone requires any adjustment themselves, let me know. You can do that in the chat privately if you want. You can take notes if you'd like, but there is a comprehensive one page download available through the swap card registration that you'll be able to see in the Freelance Business Month site. And I'll answer questions at the end. And you're also very welcome to connect with me at the Freelance Business Month platform or on LinkedIn afterwards if you'd like to chat some more. So, today we're going to be talking about social media and ethics policies, what they do, which ones you might need, specifically looking at a social media crisis policy as something that you can do today in this session as a starting point for the documents that you need to have. We're also going to talk a little bit about what to do in a social media crisis. We're going to talk about what approaches work and the big what to do's and not to do's. So this session is going to be very useful, I think, for two different types of people. The first is for solopreneurs and people who are working primarily by themselves or with a team of freelancers themselves who need to be able to communicate clearly um, and don't have a social media professional available in house all the time to monitor and manage things. The second, it'll probably be useful for people who are working in larger companies who want to get their heads around the ethics and all the various codes and the documents that are out there that larger companies are expected to have. I don't think you'll be able to do a full social media plan in this time. To be honest, it's a little bit more work than that, sadly, but I can send you in the right direction on what to do next. And what you will be able to do in this session is complete a full social media crisis policy that you'll be able to share with your employees, which is a very strong first step in staying out of trouble. So this session is recorded, but I will be around and on the platform later. And also, as I said, if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on the platform, I'd be more than happy to chat to you about what we talk about here today. So, who am I? And why should you listen to me? My name is Saivard. I am a freelance writer and a project manager with about 20 years' experience in working with businesses. I write for the media and I write for businesses and I help businesses to get seen. I specialize in business writing and digital marketing strategy, so stuff like website writing, ghostwriting, uh, funding and award applications. In short, I use my writing and project management skills to help businesses to get seen by the right people. That's who I am. That's what I do. So part of being seen is taking a risk because obviously when you put yourself out there, people can take exception to what you say. So this session today is talking about the simple steps, really are very simple steps that you can take to avoid finding yourselves embroiled in an online crisis of one type or another. So yeah, that's it. That's what we're doing, and that's who I am. Let's get into it. So, why care about social media and ethics at all? Look, business ethics are important for a whole bunch of reasons. We know them. They keep businesses operating lawfully. They increase employee satisfaction and culture where they're communicated well. They prevent employee burnout. They attract better candidates to you. There are a lot of reasons to be an ethical business, but we can't get into all of them today. Today, we're very much looking at the interaction between your social media and ethics policies and the way consumers and customers feel about you. So the simple fact is customers do care about your ethics. They're willing to pay more for products that they believe have been produced ethically and are socially responsible. As many and 4 out of 5 people say that they're willing to make a personal sacrifice in order to be able to afford to purchase brands from socially and environmentally better brands. So 84% of customers say that they consider a company's ethics before they're making a purchase from them. That's a lot of people. So you need to care about ethics because, well, your customers do. So in that case, why bother risking social media? Yeah, they've got you there too. So the simple fact is people expect brands to be online. Millennials and younger people, 95% of them expect brands to have an active online presence such as Facebook. And it's not just them actually. 87% of people aged under 50 expect brands to be active online and 70% of people under 60. So consumers expect their brands to be available for them on social media. HubSpot have found, for example, that 79% of customers expect a response to their social media posts within 24 hours. So it's pretty fast. On Facebook and Twitter, for example, customers expect a response within 30 minutes, and only 50% of businesses actually currently meet that standard. So don't feel too bad if you're missing out on it. Look, I'm not going to keep throwing numbers at you. You can Google all of this yourself. Customers care about your ethics, and customers expect you to be active on social media. You can't stay off it, and customers do want to connect with you there. There are lots of rewards like increased brand loyalty and increased sales for businesses that do it well. So you do need to be online, and you need a better plan than let's just show up and hope it all works out for us. You need social media and ethics policies. What are the common policies and what do they do? So as you can see, we've got a fairly comprehensive list going on here, but the good news is we're only dealing with the top four. The bottom ones are really things for much larger companies where you should have professionals handling them because they're their areas such as ESE, hiring and HR, and legal. The top four are the ones that we're going to talk a bit about today, and they all actually support each other. So the first one is the social media policy. So this is put in place by an employer to provide guidelines to employees on how they should handle social media, both professionally and personally. This means not just what the brand's official channels are and how to use those, but also how employees should, for example, mention the brand on social media. For example, how they talk about it on LinkedIn. It shouldn't be a negative document. It should empower your employees to talk positively about the company and their experience at the company. So it's a very valuable document to do, but it's not something that we can complete in the very short time frame we have here today. So we are going to move on to something we can do, which is the social media crisis policy. And this is a one-page document that can be clearly communicated to everyone in your company after this meeting that will allow them to ensure that no fuel is poured on the fire of a social media crisis. We're going to come back to that, but first up, I'm just going to talk very quickly about the Code of Ethics, or the Code of Professional Practice, and the Code of Conduct. So these are two documents that are worth thinking about from an ethical point of view for every business. The Code of Ethics in particular can be very short. The Code of Ethics is what you aspire to be. My Code of Ethics is on my website. It is 5 lines long. Excuse me, 5 lines long. I have done codes of ethics for companies that have been 10 pages long. It really depends on how much you feel you need to get into it. But basically, a code of ethics lays out the values that inform your business from the top down and who you are on your best day. The code of conduct, on the other hand, well, that talks more about worst days. It's very valuable for events. For example, it clearly sets out the standards of behavior expected and what happens if you breach those standards. For example, Freelance Business Month has a code of conduct. If you're running regular events with large groups of people, it's an extremely valuable document. And again, there are plenty of free resources online to help you fill one out. Strongly recommend you look at it. If you're not running events, or if you don't have places where lots of people get together regularly, maybe you don't need to look at it right now. But honestly, there's no harm having it for your business. Anyway, I could talk all days about codes of ethics and codes of conduct because I find them very interesting. But what we are going to talk about today is the social media crisis policy and why I feel this one-page document is a silver bullet that will prevent social media crises from getting any worse than they already are. So we're going to go and have a look and get into that now. So here is the social media crisis policy we've been talking about. And as you can see, it is for everyone at the company, for employees, and maybe for people like freelancers and people who are affiliated with you. It's a very simple document and it comes down to three steps. It's basically inform us, wait for us to come up with an official response, and once we've come up with an official response, help us to get that out there. That's what this entire document says. So let's run through it very quickly together here now. So you can say here the first step is let the responsible person at the business know. You need a responsible person at the business, someone who feels empowered and capable of dealing with social media and any heat that occurs on it. We'll be talking quickly after this about how to deal with heat on social media, but let's stay with this document for the moment. So it says to the employees, you are our extra eyes and ears. We have management and escalation plans in place. We are prepared to handle an issue whether we see it first or not. So ideally, if an employee sees something, they should tell you and then wait. And that's step 2 there. Let us answer. It asks them to hang back until an official response has been formulated and then can come to step 3, which is like or share the official response. Give us a chance to respond. No matter how mad you feel, we understand we might be mad too. Help us to get clear information out. Email us and wait for the response to go out in our official channels or where the crisis are started. This is an extremely simple document, but it adds an awful lot of clarity for employees and freelancers and any community you have around how to deal with a social media crisis. It's not their responsibility. They shouldn't be jumping in. And by having this, you will ensure that people aren't accidentally pouring fuel on a fire or spreading disinformation. When you have a social media crisis, you want to get your response out in a measured and thoughtful way, and you want to have one response, not 50. And we're going to come back to that now. We're coming to the end of the session now, and I hope that I've given you enough information that you're never going to find yourself in a social media crisis. But if you do, what do you do? Well, page 2 of that document in the Freelance Business Month bag has a little bit of information and some further reading resources, but I'll run quickly through the proven steps that are out there now. There's no one size fits all approach because there isn't just one type of crisis. But here are the basic steps you should take. Number 1, have a crisis person in place that is empowered to deal with it and make sure everyone at the company knows who that person is. Number 2, stop your scheduled posts and campaigns. Evaluate the issue properly. Number 3, listen, think, decide what needs to be done and what the purpose of your response is. Number 4, or respond promptly, but not necessarily hastily. If you can, give yourself the time to think and formulate your response carefully. Number 5, be honest, be empathic, be authentic, really listen to the person. One of the best bits of advice I ever got when I was working in retail was the customer is not always right, but they always think they're right. Listening to someone, acknowledging their feelings goes an awfully long way towards dealing with the grievances. In some cases, obviously, this isn't actually going to be something you can solve. Maybe you're dealing with a hacker, maybe you're dealing with a troll. In that case, what you want to do is demonstrate to the rest of the people watching, people who might actually buy your products, that you are authentic, that you are capable of dealing with this issue, and that you're responding calmly. Don't blame, don't take things personally. Do your best to be authentic and calm and constructive in your comments. Communicate internally as well as externally while this is going on. It is quite upsetting for people when they're working for a company and they can see it being slandered on social media. And also learn from the experience. Take notes, update your flowcharts, make sure that, big one here is make sure if a hacker gets in, they can't get in again. If you have various social media platforms that you're not using security like two-factor authentication on, turn it on now. A hacker can do a ridiculous amount of damage to your reputation in just 30 seconds. So they are some quick and simple tips for dealing with a crisis if you find yourself in it. The social media crisis plan should help stop your employees from pouring fuel on the flames. And again, as I said, hopefully you will never need to know this. So I think that's it. We're done. If you would like to speak to me about any aspect of this, if you'd like to talk to me about crisis policies or code of ethics and code of conduct, in fact, any of those documents, I'm more than happy to chat to you about them. You can reach out to me on the Freelance Business Month platform for the month of October. You can also get me on my website, which is redrock.ie. You can email me, sadhbh@redrock.ie, or you can also connect with me on LinkedIn if that's somewhere you would like to chat to me on. I hope that you found the session useful. I hope that you feel slightly better prepared for dealing with a social media crisis. And I hope it never happens to you. So, the best of luck going forward and see you at some other session. Take care.